Amazon says it's developing smart glasses to help drivers navigate deliveries on foot once they get out of their vehicles. The AR glasses are paired with a truck camera to help offer directions and also provide hands-free proof of delivery snapshots. This is ABC News. The director of the Louvre Museum in Paris testified before French lawmakers today following Sunday's brazen heist of French royalty jewels. Laurence Descartes told lawmakers the outdated security system is partially to blame. It includes a lone camera that was facing the wrong way when the suspects swooped in. Here's ABC's Patrick Reeve.
She did say that she had offered her resignation after the heist, but France's culture minister has rejected that. Descartes has said she also had been appalled by the game director, and she said she'd made it her priority to fix it, and she said she had issued many warnings about it. She even described herself as a whistleblower.
General Motors CEO announced GM is moving forward on a self-driving technology to allow the owner to travel without having to keep their eyes on the road. GM says it will roll out its Cadillac Escalade electric SUV in 2028. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorton.
All right, hey folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives. We're trying to figure out who has the lead tonight. I figure, hey, no one's going to speak up after the first 30 seconds or so.
I do believe it's your turn.
And that's another reason why I'm stepping up to take the lead, just so you guys know. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, it seems like a reasonable approach, Todd. We'll leave it at
that. Chance it. Maybe it's your turn. I don't know. All right. Well, we got a guest for the first hour. Is he available, John, by chance?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and bring him in.
All right, perfect. Yeah, we have the national chairman for the American Legion Riders here, David Heredia, out of Maryland. So not too close from the colonel there. Former department commander in Maryland, of course, joining us tonight. We're going to talk about the Legion Riders, your position, and of course, what can the Legion Riders do for our nation, etc. We're going to jump into that. But David, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to this position.
Well, first of all, hello everybody, and it's a privilege to be here with you and Todd. It was great to meet you at convention.
Yes, sir.
As you see what I have here with me,
that's it. Be the one rock. There you go.
I look at this every day for inspiration on how myself and others like me can be the one to save a veteran's life. So
there you go. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
As you said, I'm David Heredia. I'm a retired Army Chief Warrant Officer. I got over 20 years of active duty, and I currently support the warfighter up at APG. But that aside, I've been a member of the American Legion now going on 18 years. And as you said, I'm the past department commander for the state of Maryland, a job that I was truly humbled, as you are,
right
yes, now, as the current state commander for Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Having the opportunity to speak for the veterans in my state. You know, we have over 350 veterans in Maryland. and their families for a total of close to about 480. And that includes active duty, reserve, guard, and the family members. Getting to work with our local leaders on behalf of veterans as a state commander was a great privilege. But over the last few years, I've been serving as the assistant chief road captain for the National Legacy Run. Before we were supporting the Legacy Gold Star Run or Legacy Scholarship Fund.
Right.
Gold Star Run, I'm sorry, is here in Maryland. The Legacy Scholarship Fund, they were supporting those 9/11 veterans' children and those veterans who were 50% disabled in getting scholarship funds to go to college. Our mission changed to our current mission under the Veterans and Children's Foundation. But I've been doing duties on the Legacy Run for a few years, and our immediate past chairman, Mark Clark,
Right.
who I love like a brother.
Oh yeah, good man out of Missouri.
Yep, out of Missouri.
Yeah, good man.
Step aside. So I'm actually the fourth national chairman of the American Legion Riders. Before me, there was past national chairman Terry Woodburn from the Department of Illinois, and after him was Bob Sussin from the departments of Virginia and Florida. Unfortunately, both of those gentlemen are now in post everlasting.
Right. Yep. Sadly.
Right. And then, like I said, our immediate past is Mark Clark, who took over, and we continued the legacy that those two gentlemen built. He continued that on. And now it's my turn as the national chairman for the American Legion Riders. And that's how I'm at today. And
there we go.
And for me, it's deeply humbling and an honor to serve, like I said, as the fourth national chairman.
Right.
And I'm grateful for our national commander, Dan Wiley, who you've met.
Yes,
the
sir.
Leadership of the American Legion for this opportunity to take this position. And I take this position surely. And because I feel that the riders are focused on communities, bringing awareness to our brand, we are a force to be reckoned with, especially when we ride in large numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And I know your friend Bob, who I met a few years ago when we went through Tennessee, knows the strength of the roaring of those motorcycles as we come down the road, right, and visit a city. So, But that's it in a nutshell.
There we go. Let me turn it over to the Colonel Chris Wyatt out of Central PA. We didn't go around the horn, but before that, but our listeners know the Colonel, of course. He's got some great questions for you. Then we'll kind of come back and we'll end up with me at the very end here. But Colonel, go ahead, sir.
Well, Todd, that's a vote of confidence. We haven't even chatted tonight. I guess you're assuming on past performance that I have good questions, but thank you for that. So first off, for many of our audience, I think you mentioned as an acronym, people aren't familiar with APG. That's Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland,
correct,
at the top of the Chesapeake Bay up there. And it's a place where one of my former NCOs went to test Soviet equipment back in the day. And they do a lot of things up there. Yeah. So, David, I want to ask you about this. I think a lot of people are familiar with this. We also have an international audience, not just one here in the States, with the riders. I became acquainted with the riders when I became a member of my local Veterans of Foreign Wars post that had a riders group. The riders are folks who get together and ride motorcycles, correct? And they do activities to raise awareness and raise funds for folks, which is kind of, I think, what you're getting at a short while ago there. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about the riders? I mean, can you describe a little bit better than I did? I mean, that's just a layman's description. I'm not a member. I don't have a hog.
Well, first of all, thanks, Colonel. Thank you for your service. Well, it's quite simple. The American Legion Riders focus is we ride for veterans and their families, right? We uphold the values of the American Legion's 4 pillars. And I like to say we strengthen the current mission, which is VCF, the Veterans and Children's Foundation. And we live, be the one, like the little rock that Todd showed me, right?
Yep.
We always checking in, we connect, and we working to prevent veterans suicide and ensure that no one feels forgotten or alone. And I like to say that the American Legion Riders are champions of hope, right? And the reason why I say champions of hope is quite simple. Hope changes lives. We ride for those who can no longer ride, for those suffering in silence, and for anyone who feels forgotten. Right. So the way I like to look at it and the way I try to instill in our riders is every mile, handshake, salute, and smile carries one message, that you're not alone.
That's it.
Right. So when communities see us in our Legion Riders vests, because they're not colors. We're not MCs, right? We're a group of riders riding under the umbrella of the American Legion. They see our unity. They see the compassion in motion, which hopefully brings hope to the homeless veteran, strengthening the families who are navigating loss, and of course, joy to the children who see riders waving just for them. And so that's why I say Champions of Hope isn't just a name. It's a promise. Where there's pain, we bring comfort. Where there's despair, we bring light. And wherever there's a veteran or family in need, we'll be there for them. So the American Legion Riders is a big force. As the one of the largest programs besides the Sons of the American Legion,
right?
We're out there in the community. When you see a group of motorcycle enthusiasts wearing the American Legion Riders vests out there engaging the community, we're spreading the word of what the American Legion is all about. Just like our sisters VSOs, you mentioned the VFW, the DAV, our mission is clear: the 4 pillars and supporting those who we serve. So that's a little bit about the mission of the American Legion Riders.
Well, you mentioned something, David, there that I think maybe many people didn't realize, and I knew that, but it doesn't sink in immediately, is that you're doing this in part for those no longer able to ride. Maybe those who were enthusiasts who wanted to ride in the past or did ride in the past, and maybe because of their service, they've not able to do it anymore, or just because of age or infirmity and they're veterans and they're not able to do it. So you do it for them. It's I guess in that way, it's kind of a celebration of a heritage of something that was part of their lives, and they can still be part of you trying to represent that.
And that's true. But let's not set that what I just said about those who can no longer ride. We also serve those who never rode, right? So if you're a veteran or a family veteran, we're there for you, regardless of the cause. The American Legion Riders, just like the Sons of the American Legion going out there in the American Legion Auxiliary, I like to think of us as a family, a Legion family. I don't want us to be a silo, because if we're a silo, it doesn't do us any good. But yeah, we're out there in the community, and as long as they see us, they know that there's somebody there for them.
Well, here's a question I think that should interest folks. It certainly interests me. Of course, the Veterans of Foreign Wars is a little more circumspect about its membership because you have to be a veteran of a foreign war. Whereas American Legion can be an honorably discharged veteran and become an American Legion, if I'm correct about that.
Yes.
How's it work? How's it work with the riders? Do you have to be a veteran to be a rider, or can you be a family member, a son of the American Legion, or something like that? Or is it strictly for veterans that are in the riders group?
That's a great question. So, as you said, for the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, you have to meet a certain criteria to be a member of that organization. Great organization. Our oldest VSO organization. For the American Legion, you just have to have served since December 7th, 1941 to the present, right? So the answer to your question is simple. Anybody who is a member of the American Legion family in good standing, meaning someone who has paid their dues, right? Yearly dues, a puffle like myself, paid up for life member. I don't know, Todd, if you're one or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So every time they see puffle on my vest, they said, "What is that?" I said, "That's my last name." But
yeah, that means you don't have to get your dues in on time. They're already taking care of it.
They're already there, right? As of July 1st.
Don't worry about it.
Right. But anyone who is the member of the auxiliary, the Sons, and the American Legion could become a member of the American Legion Riders. And that's the true meaning of family, right? What better than to have the Legion, the auxiliary, and the Sons be part of a program, right? A Legion program that goes out there and brings awareness to the communities, right? Who the American Legion is. Granted, we're wearing our riders vest, right? But we're a family, and it's a family affair. So anybody can join. You can be a support member if you don't have a ride, motorcycle, but that depends on the local chapters. My chapter here in Aberdeen, chapter 128 out of Bernard L. Tubman Post 128. If you want to be a supporter, we could utilize you're able to join as a supporter, and your vest clearly says supporter. So like my wife is an auxiliary member. She rides on the back of the bike when she wants to ride. but she's a supporter of the chapter. So, but that's how it works.
So you guys are in Aberdeen, as we've talked about. Of course, Cal Ripken famously is owner of the Aberdeen Ironbirds.
Yep.
Is there anything the Riders ever do over at the ballpark there? You ever go over there and do anything at Ripken Stadium?
So it's funny you ask. I've been reached out by the local Harley Davidson dealership, someone who used to work there. His name is JB, and he wants to do something to bring awareness to what the veterans do. So, and where do they want to do it? They want to do it at Ironbird Stadium. We were going to do something in September, but they came to me in August before I left for the legacy run. I said, I don't have enough time, right? So let's work on something to do in the spring or in the fall, right before baseball season, and bring everybody in. Maybe we can get some motorcycles out on the field. So we're looking to do something with the Ironbirds, whether it's my chapter alone. Hopefully it won't be. I want to reach out to our chairman for Maryland, Dave House, to see if he can bring a group of riders in and we can go out there and collect funds. One of the things that we're riding for in Maryland this year is our department commanders project. One Dream, One Team, Family Strong is her logo. And we're looking to collect monies for Americanism, Children and Youth, and VA&R, Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, so that we can equally split the money amongst those three areas so that the programs within there can get the monies they need, whether it's a program like Boys and Girls State, we can send some students to that, Legion Baseball. If a child is in need or a veteran's in need, there's money there. So that's some of the stuff that we're writing for here in Maryland. Remember those 350,000 veterans. So we're looking to do something with the Ironbirds, just like the national legacy. When we were down in North Carolina, we sent our riders down at Woodpecker Stadium and brought the game ball in. Our national commander, national leadership was there, national commander, Sons of American Legion, and the president were all, I think the president was there. We're all there. No, the president wasn't there, but Jim, the Coursier, our national commander, and Jose Navarrete were there. And they were out on the field. And of course, national commander threw a ball. But that's the kind of stuff we need to do, right, to help bring awareness to veteran stuff. So hopefully that'll happen in the spring. And since you're up in PA, maybe we can get you to come down.
Oh, I'd be happy to come down, but I don't have a hog, so I'll just.
You don't need to have a bike.
I'll just be waving a flag.
It doesn't matter. Listen,
and if it's at Ripken Stadium, all the more interesting for me. I love going to the ballpark down there. So
yeah, and of course, Todd, you're always welcome to come over here as
Thank
well.
you, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
So David, I'm not familiar with the legacy run, so I'm going to describe something I think is a really cool idea. I've never seen it. Maybe it's done, but what is the possibility, or do in fact riders groups do some of this, whether it's for Legion? I'm not sure if VFW does either, but what about the possibility of all the riders in the state getting together and doing something from one end of the state, drive to another, raise funds and awareness for veterans? I mean, like for Maryland, you could start up there by Aberdeen as you come in from Delaware. And drive all the way down the Virginia state line, and on 95. And man, that would get a lot of attention there. And it would irritate a lot of the people in rush hour traffic, I'm sure. But I mean, it would certainly get a lot of attention. I don't know if that's a feasible thing. Has it been done before? I mean, if we did it in Pennsylvania, it'd be tough because you got to go 7 hours or 8 hours from Western PA all the way to Philadelphia. But Maryland's a bit smaller. It's feasible, I think. I mean, is that something that anyone's ever done?
Well, Chris, let me tell you something. You must be reading my mind because
there you go.
It's getting scary here. Listen, first of all, let me say something about the legacy run, right? We're about to do our 20th anniversary of the American Legion Legacy Run. So as national chairman, I'm about to have a meeting with my committee members tomorrow, and we're going to discuss what we can do to celebrate our 20th anniversary. Because under the Legacy Scholarship Fund, we collected close, if not more than $20 million for students to be able to go to school. Now under the VCF, we're looking to collect the same amount of money over the next few years. My goal this year is to bring over $1 million for VCF. And how do we do that? You nailed it. In Maryland, over the last 10 years, let me get two hands up, last 10 years, my department has collected over $1 million. The last 3 years, we have been number one in donations for the Legacy Fund. This year we collected over $140,500 for Veterans and Children's Foundation. How does this get done? Riders across the state and their local chapters go out in the communities and collect funds, right? And those donations come in for the Maryland Gold Star Run, which eventually goes to national under the Legacy Run. So every year in the first week of June, I think this year is going to be 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of June, we do a state run, and it's called the Maryland Gold Star Legacy Run. And they go around the state, different areas. They ride the byways, they ride the highways, and sometimes they go on the interstate, which we don't like to ride on big rides like that when you got 100 bikes, right? But sometimes, and they go around, and at the end of the day, they collect a large amount of money. This year's goal is 200 plus, almost 250,000, I think, is their goal, if not more.
Wow.
But that's in Maryland. But the beauty of it is it's starting to grow. Virginia has the Virginia Legacy Run. They do a great job. Last year, they collected over $54,000. Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina is going to do their first Legacy Run, stuff like that. So there are states that are starting to do this to bring awareness to the American Legion and how they can collect funds, not just for themselves, but for the greater good, which is the programs within the American Legion and those who we serve, those veterans and their families. So maybe, Todd's on here. I'll throw something out his way. If there's something that you think your riders want to do, let me know, and I'll be happy to come out there and talk to them about what they can do to do this. And like I said, absolutely. This is our 20th anniversary. So there's some stuff that we're going to come out, and I'm going to do some PSAs challenging the riders in all the departments to see what they can do to collect money so we can get that 1 million plus for VCF.
All right, absolutely.
Well, you mentioned Virginia and a few other places. You went all the way to Michigan. We skipped a few states. I mean, PA is right next door. It sounds like we need to talk to the Legion here in PA and get them a legacy run. Do they not have one? Or
so they have some kind of they don't have it to that. As far as I'm aware of, they don't have something that big.
Okay.
But I am going to be on the call tomorrow with one of the directors or past directors from the state of PA. So I'll tell you what I'll do, Chris. I will ask them that question.
Nice.
Right?
There we go.
Because the challenge is going out. Remember I said that PSA? That exactly. PSA is going to go out.
Right.
And not only for the Gold Star, the Legacy Run, but we're also going to do for the 250 Challenge, right? I'm working on a PSA to inspire our riders across the country out of the and quite frankly, the 55 departments to do something for the 250 Challenge, which ultimately goes to VCF. So I'll let you know.
All right, sounds like a good idea. So let me ask this question. One of the challenges with veteran service organizations is it's twofold, or it's manifested in a number of ways. But society has changed dramatically in this century, but especially since COVID. Getting people to volunteer to participate in the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, the Rotary Club, Scouts, veteran service organizations is becoming more and more challenging. That's one aspect of it, and of course that was exacerbated in my view by COVID, where a lot of people just got in the habit of staying home and not donating their time or resources to community organizations, which is unfortunate. But that relationship in society was already fraying, I think, going back 20, 25 years. So that's the first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is we have kind of not a unique, but certainly a very clear challenge with our veteran service organizations in the VFW and the Legion, in that our populations are aging and aging out. And that's in no small measure because younger generations, not picking on younger generations, but younger generations seem to have more things to distract them. And they're less focused on our veteran service organizations and civic responsibilities. And so getting younger veterans, because there's plenty of younger veterans. We've got 3 million combat veterans and many more veterans than that since 9/11. But getting them into these organizations is a real challenge, particularly in peri-urban and semi-rural areas with small chapters and posts and things like that. So what's it like for you guys with the riders? Is the healthy organization good, or are you also facing challenges with attracting membership? Because, I mean, that's been one of the major issues for us up here in PA.
Yeah, great questions, right? So as a whole, and Todd, this, being a state commander.
Sure.
Last year, I believe you were the membership chair, right?
Senior vice, but yeah, sort of.
So,
but not really.
well, in Maryland, the senior vice is the membership chair.
Right. Yeah.
Is it's hard getting membership, right? Across the board, because the GWAT, right? The younger veterans, a lot of them are, have families, they have different mindset when it comes to the formality of Legion meetings, right? So we have to come up with better innovative ideas and ways to get the message out, to inspire somebody to join, whether it's the American Legion, the DAV, the VFW, right? Because, strength is a powerful thing. When we have a large amount of numbers, our voices are heard, especially up on Capitol Hill.
Oh yeah.
This grassroots efforts, and I'll circle back around to your question. This grassroots effort that we started to pay our soldiers during the shutdown, right? The VSO community got together to lobby to say pay our service members. So I know they got paid on the 15th. Hopefully they'll get paid at the end of the month. But going back to your question is, how do we go about getting younger members? Well, the American Legion riders, though we are aging as well, we have riders all the way up in their 80s that are still riding.
Yep.
We have to encourage youth to come in, right? Those young veterans who are just ETS out of the military or retired out of the military, we got to inspire them to come in. One of the things that we did here in Maryland is we started a Patriot Social Hour. Once a month, we went outside the four walls of the American Legion. And the premise behind that was to bring the mission of the American Legion to the community. And not get people to not ask people, hey, do you want to join the American Legion? But get them to ask, how do I join? And the way we did it was we brought awareness to what we did program-wise. We talked about the riders, the auxiliary, the sons, the different programs within there. But until we can reach that younger population with young kids that are of school age, they're not going to want to go to a lounge where and partake in the spirits, right? They want to do stuff either outside, and that's why the programs are so important, especially under Americanism and children and youth. We got Special Olympics, we got Boys and Girls Day, we got Legion Baseball, Oratorical, Junior Shooting Sports, and the list goes on, right? Some departments, like I think it's North Carolina, they have riders, but they're also starting a car enthusiast, right? And to bring people to want to come and join. So that's a tough question, Chris, to answer. But the only thing I can say is within our communities, those local posts, those chapters within the American Legion at the grassroots, they know their demographics better than anybody. So whatever they can do to encourage membership to grow, to want to join, they just have to be straight up. So when we did those Patriot Social Hours, we brought stuff to them that brought awareness. We talked Be the One. We talked about my model, Champions of Hope. We talked about scholarships. We talked about the different programs and asked them, what is your passion? Because a lot of times is asking somebody what their passion is and then talking to that passion, and that'll inspire them enough to want to join, at least for 1 year. But once they join that one time, it's up to those people in that post to continue to want them to renew. So think of it like this. When you were in the military, you had re-enlistment NCOs, right? Their sole mission was to get that NCO to re-up for 3, for 4 to 6 more years, right? To get them over that hump, to retire like you and I did. I don't know, and you too, Todd, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you do that? Well, sponsorships. You can sponsor somebody, assign them a sponsor when they join. And then that person is responsible for making sure that those individuals understand the American Legion way, the VFW way, the DAV way, and continue to want to prosper within the organization. Because at the end of the day, we're all unpaid volunteers. right?
Tell me about it, brother. 30, 40 hours a week. It's unpaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me.
But you have to have passion for what you do. And you
Yeah.
gotta bring that passion out of those individuals that you speak to. You gentlemen on here, I can see the passion in your faces for what you do.
Are you seeing the exhaustion as well?
Yeah, that's in my eyes. But yes.
Yeah. No, actually, that really wasn't my question, but you answered the question as you went about explaining what was going to be my next question. Is that how do you overcome the challenges? Obviously, there are challenges, so you've kind of answered that question. Now, I'm just curious, Dave, a little bit about you. You said you retired Chief Warrant Officer. Obviously, that's the Army, so you made the right choice. You didn't get you didn't get bounced on your head and wind up in the Navy, so that's good to hear. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background in the Army, what you did? Because that really doesn't tell me. You could have been a pilot, you could have been a signals guy, could have been an intel guy. What did you do in the Army?
So I wasn't a flyboy. I was what they call a walking warrant, right? So when I joined in the delay entry program my junior year in high school. And then after graduation, I went into the Army. I went into Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Fort Lost in the Woods. That's where I went to basic.
Yeah, a great place.
Not December, January. Trust me.
No, I was being facetious as well. I went in the summertime when the ticks are all over you.
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Ooh.
But unlike the palace, the rest of my battalion who lived in the brick buildings, my company had the beautiful Quonset huts.
Quonset huts. Oh yes.
With concrete floors and grass growing through them that we had to adore for the 8 weeks we were there.
Well, so not to break your heart, David, but I was in the brick buildings.
We loved you guys.
I'm sure you did.
We would low crawl over there and cause havoc for you guys, and then low crawl back. I'm glad I don't have to worry about my drill sergeant because I outrank him by now. So, but yeah, Sergeant Carr was my drill sergeant. I remember that guy. He's still right here. But anyway, so from there I went to Fort Gordon to become a tech controller. So I was a tactical tech controller and a fixed station tech controller. And I did that. My first assignment was in Germany, where I did communications for the 93rd Signal Brigade, 26th Signal Battalion. And I was on orders to go to Fort Lewis to continue on working in the tech control. But my battalion commander had other ideas for me. And I ended up going to Fort Gordon to be an instructor. So from there, I came up on orders. I was to go and be a recruiter. And I said, I'm not going to do a recruiter, right? So the SF guy came. And so I volunteered to go SF. So I was in special operations up until I made Sergeant First Class. And then I had some injuries where I couldn't jump anymore. I couldn't produce my duties as in the special operations world. So they brought me back to the Signal Corps in an overstrength MOS, which was at the time 31 November, 32 Papa had combined, and we had become 32 Delta. We became microwave system maintainers, and I said, I'm not doing this. I put in my warrant packet. I got accepted, and I became a what's it called, tactical network technician, and that's where I did my duties. I deployed many times to a few areas of operations during my enlisted time as E7 and as a warrant. I spent times in Bosnia and Albania, a few other places, and then when my time was to come back, they sent me back to Fort Gordon to be a joint instructor and an academic advisor for the advanced course for warrants and the basic course. And then they were going to send me overseas on a company for a few years. And my son was in school. I had already 22, 23 years in, and I said, nah, I'm done. So I retired and joined the warfighter as an Army contractor. And I've been doing that since 2003. And that's me in a nutshell.
That's a wow. Well, some very similar paths there. I also went to Fort Leonard Wood, as I mentioned, and I also went to Fort Gordon, where I was a 31 Mike.
How about that? Wow.
And my first duty station was Germany in the 8th Signal Battalion in the 8th ID.
Okay. So,
yeah, small world.
So I joined in 82 active duty. When were you there?
I came in the Army in November of 1983. So
we were in Germany together.
Yeah, we were in Germany together, and nearly at Fort Leonard Wood, just a few months apart, and then Fort Gordon. Yeah, no, it's a small world, isn't it?
And the Signal community is where it's at. So,
Well, like I later was in air defense when I spent 2 years in the Guard, and then I spent the rest of my career as an intel officer and a foreign area officer for Africa. So, but yeah, Signal Corps is a great branch. If I hadn't been MI, Signal's what I would have done.
well, I mean, they're both great branches. Don't get me wrong. What about you, Todd? What'd you do?
Oh, Signal Corps as well. Little time down at Fort Gordon. I was a telecommunications operations maintainer, and of course MSC back in the day, and of course it morphed into. I was in Tropo and a few other things.
Wait a second, Todd. MSC back in the day. I spent 36 and a half years in the Army. MSC came along about a third of the way through my career. That's not back in the day. That's new.
Yeah, right. We don't have it anymore, so it's back in the day. I don't know. Yeah, I did 20 years and loved it. Every minute. Germany, Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever we were, because it was about the people you were with, made you feel good, and you were there for the right reasons. It was for the person to your left, to your right, and the people back home who know what right looks like. That's why you were there.
Exactly. And the brotherhood and the sisterhood that I experienced during my time in the military. There was a void after I got out, because I got out in 2003 and I didn't join the American Legion until late in 2008. And then, I joined because a friend of mine who I used to coach high school came up to me and said, "Hey, you ride motorcycles. Why don't you come join the American Legion Riders?" I said, "Okay." Right. Little did I know I had to become a Legionnaire first, but I paid my dues.
Right.
And I left Georgia to come up here to work at Everything Proving Grounds for the program manager for WinT at the time. So I found me my post that had riders. And again, I didn't care anything about the American Legion. I just wanted to ride.
Right.
The next thing is I went to a department convention, and they were talking about something. I said, well, I can do that. So I went to Legion, applied for Legion College, National Legion College, graduate of 2016. Great, the best class ever. I don't know if you remember.
Of course, yeah.
But I came back, and our department adjutant, Russell Myers, put me to work, right? But that changed my focus, because I went from a rider mentality to a Legionnaire first. I realized that I had to be a Legionnaire first to be where I'm at today. And it's funny, because now I'm gone full circle. I went from becoming a rider to caring about riders to being the #1 Legionnaire for the Department of Maryland last year as department commander, to now being the national chairman of the American Legion Riders. How cool can that be?
It's awesome. Nice.
I get to be a Legionnaire, love my brothers and sisters, but I'm also get to be in the fellowship of the American Legion Riders and ride for a cause.
Yeah.
Right? And be with people who love to ride, but also love the veterans. And at the same time, I get to enjoy being a Legionnaire and enjoy my brothers and sisters who served as well. And some of them are still serving. So
absolutely. Go ahead.
Well, Todd and David, both of you know what I'm talking about here. So I want to get David's take on this. Both of you talked about camaraderie and fellowship, and that's a lot about what this is all about. But, I didn't have a difficult time transitioning to be a civilian, even after 36 years in uniform and 34 active duty, because I spent a lot of my time in unusual assignments where part of the time I was in civilian clothes, part of the time I was in uniform. I worked with heads of state and corporations and NGOs and so all kinds of things. So for me, I mean, being in the Army, being a soldier is who I was, but my rank was never who I was. I'm not tied to, how some people, they retire, they have a hard time adjusting. So I adjusted civilian life very easily. It was an easy walk. But the one thing I'm finding myself more and more struggling with and frustrated and irritated with, looking at getting on a roof with, something in my arm, but the thing I get more and more frustrated with is there's a difference between, now don't get me wrong, folks. I mean, we have liars and cheats and criminals in uniform too, but the number thankfully is very small. But I'm having a hard time in civilian world with people who lie to your face. I see this far too often, and they don't, there's no bond there. They haven't shared anything, and they don't count on that person, as Todd said, to the left, that person to the right, that man or woman. Your life depends on them, and getting the mission done. If you don't get this shipment of whatever there, the fuel or whatever, someone's going to die. If these bullets don't get there, if you don't hold that spot long enough, everyone's going to die. You know, I'm really struggling with it in some ways, especially of late, because I just have so many people that behave duplicitously and lie, and it's something that frustrates me to no end. And I hope that not everybody is seeing that, and I hope it's not over. But it's not something I'm accustomed to seeing in uniform, because when you see it, you deal with it. It's done, and they're gone. So, I mean, David, is that something you've experienced? You've been out of uniform for a lot longer than I have. I mean, and maybe I'm being overly sensitive here. Maybe that's the problem. Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, for some people, transitioning is a difficult process, right? For me, I had the luxury of coming out of uniform one day and going back to almost a similar place where I was at together, right? Working as an Army contractor, where I was still able to talk to my brothers and sisters in uniform, as well as the civilians who have been supporting us. But there's some people that leave the military life, right, and don't have the luxury that I have had. And I say luxury because I got to stay in that same community. And they go to the private sector, right? And for them, that transition is a little bit different, because where you and I had our brothers and sisters who had our back, right? Some didn't, but the 99% or more, 99.9% had our back, right? They were not self-serving, but they were there for the greater cause, like us. They don't have that, right? They're going in a cutthroat environment. And if they only served 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, or maybe 10 years, or maybe a little bit more, and they went to the private sector, that's a cut world environment. There is no esprit de corps, so to speak, in that environment. So they may have a tougher time to transition. For veterans like us who deployed into harm's way, we have a different way. We may have those voices that I talk about in our heads. And that's why initiatives like this, right, to be the one, is so important. And why I like to say we're champions of hope. We have someone that we can count on. To our left and to our right, there's someone like you two gentlemen on there, right? For those who transition to the private sector, that may not always be the case, right? So I guess bottom line, I guess it all depends on the individual, right? And how they handle themselves and their mental acuity when it comes to being able to handle stressful situations like that. So, I mean, I don't know any better way to answer that than that.
No, that's a good response to it. I'm just curious. I'd like to get other veterans' take on this, because I mean, like I said, I adjusted very well to it, but I get frustrated when I talk to someone and they lie to my face, and I see that a lot.
Exactly, right?
And they're lying, and it's like, you just, oh, come on.
And
they're not even very bright when they lie.
Right. And that's one thing. You as an 06, Todd as a sergeant first class, me as a chief, right? We probably asked soldiers questions, right? And we knew the answer.
Right.
We wanted to see how they brought it back.
Exactly.
Right? But they wouldn't lie to us in a sense, right? But in the private sector, they can look at you one way, right? And be talking out of this instead of this way.
Yep.
Because there's no heart in what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
there's in many cases there's no cause.
Exactly.
Right.
For us, we had the flag, the Constitution, and our men and women are left and right. Is that your dog there?
This is Chelsea.
Oh,
I wasn't sure if you picked a pillow up or a dog. It looked all fluffy.
Oh, yes.
All right.
So she loves to say hi to everybody. So she just came here to say
there you go. There you go. So, Todd, I hope I haven't taken up too much of time. Give you a chance to get some questions in there. I'll turn it over to you.
No, absolutely. John, you have any questions? Because I'll bring it back full circle and wrap it up here in a few minutes.
Well, I was kind of curious. Maybe I missed it earlier. I was listening, but you raised money.
Yeah, right.
You raised money for these causes.
Sure,
so
sure, he was listening.
How do you go about raising money? I mean, is this kind of like sponsored miles or just holding events, or how do you accomplish that?
So every chapter, every department does it different, right? I can only speak to how my department and our chapters do it. They'll go out there, they'll hold fundraisers, they'll hold poker runs, they'll go up to establishments and say, hey, we would like to get donations. We're a C19. We're going to be a C3 in the future. but there's different ways. I don't call them sponsors. I like to call them legacy supporters.
There
It's
you go.
There you go. Yeah.
right? So last year I had our first inaugural gala for the Department of Maryland. It was very successful, and we got over, I think, close to 50 sponsors, right, or legacy supporters at different levels. So a chapter can go out and collect money for whatever cause, right? If they want to collect money for the legacy fund, then they'll go out there and they'll have a poker run, they'll have raffles, they'll have cookouts, and they'll collect money for those particular causes. And then if there's a department level, like here where we have the chapters, we have one post that takes the initiative, and our chairman for that is out of post 22 in Towson, as a past national commander for the Sons of the American Legion. His passion was to collect those funds. So he challenges other chapters and he gives out plaques. So there's a different ways of doing it. You know, I talked earlier about the Patriot Social Hour. That Patriot Social Hour, I would work, or myself and the committee would work with the restaurants, and we would get up to 20% of everybody's bill that came back to the Department of Maryland for Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation. So in some cases, we may only have $100. In other cases, we got $500. But we got money that went to that project. And at the end of the day, not only did we get money, but we helped out veterans with VSO claims because we brought our department VSO. We got to talk to people, and we would probably sign up anywhere from 5 to 10 people and help, I think, up to 3 or 4 veterans on their claims. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it, John. You have to be creative and think outside the box. And most of all, think outside the 4 walls of your American Legion post and figure out a way that's conducive for the demographics in your area to collect monies. So
I got you. So if anybody happens to be listening, do you happen to have a donation? I mean, you do writing to create awareness. So do you have a donation on your website?
Yeah. So if they want to donate on the national level, they can go to www.legion.org/donate. And on that website, there's a list of different donations that they can go to Boys State, Girls State, Legion Baseball, my favorite, the Children's Veterans and Children's Foundation. So there's a whole list of places where they can donate. And the donations that come to the American Legion, 100% of that donation goes to that particular cause. There's no overhead. When you donate for $100, $100 goes to that project that you're donating to. So that's the beauty of it. So just go to legion.org/donate. If you want to donate specifically to VCF, you can go to the VCF website and you can donate there. So you can donate to the Temporary Financial Assistance, TFA, like I said, any of the programs by going to that website.
Awesome. So do you get involved in political affairs at all that may affect veterans when there's bills coming up or things like that?
Well, as you know, the American Legion is nonpartisan, right? So we work both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've worked with when I was state commander, I worked with the governor's office to promote veterans' interests. So anything that was veteran interest wise, whether it was, we have House Bill 268, which was the Predatory Act. We lobbied and worked with them to ensure that they passed that law to keep predators away from our veterans who are trying to file VA claims, because too often a VA a service member goes to a predator and they charge them a percentage of that VA claim. So that was one of the things. I worked with, in our department, worked with the Veterans Affairs Office. It's called, now they changed the name, the Maryland Veterans and Family Members. I'll remember the name and title, but basically it's with the Veteran Secretary for Maryland, and we work to promote veteran causes. So that's the only time I get involved in politics.
Yeah, it's really not politics. It's just about setting policy,
right?
For people's interest, and that's an important thing to do.
I should mention our voter voice, votervoice.net /American Legion. People can go there and have their voices heard that way as well. And I know
Yep.
we've been pushing that for the past couple of years.
Yeah, and then there's also the grassroots, right? You go to
Right.
legion.org/grassroots, and you can go in and you can sign up for it. And you don't have, the beauty of it is you don't have to be a member of the American Legion,
That's right.
right?
Just a member of the public,
Anybody.
a supporter.
Anybody can do that. So that's
Yep.
why whenever stuff like that gets out, I try to get it out on social media and pass the word around. Hey, go here and write something, because it goes based on your zip code to whoever your congressman or woman is, your representative is.
Right.
Same thing in Maryland. We can do the same thing here in Maryland for local policies that affect our veterans and their families. So grassroots is where it's at to get the word out for our veterans.
So if we see you on the highway or something and you're doing a ride, how many riders can we expect to see out there? What's your normal group? 30 people, 20 people, or more?
So at the national level, I hope to have over 250 riders come August when we
Nice.
leave for Kentucky, right? Locally here in Maryland, we have approximately 100 riders, anywhere from 60 to 100 riders. I had a charity run for my project last year. We had, I think, 68 bikes and 75 or 80 bikers altogether, including passengers. I know that I think Randy Gunn out of Virginia had over 150 riders, last year for the Legacy Run. So it just depends on what type of run it is. We have some riders out of La Plata, American Legion Post Chapter 82. They just did a little ride, and they had, I think, 15, 20 riders go out there across the state. They went on a plaque run, but they brought awareness because they were wearing their vests, right? So anytime they wear their vests and they're acting on behalf of the American Legion, you know, they're doing the work of the Legion, promoting our causes. And so it can be anywhere from a few riders to hundreds.
Yeah, and you got the fun job, man. When it comes to volunteering, that's the kind of volunteering you want to do, right? You get to ride the motorcycle, feel the cool wind, and enjoy yourselves. But yeah, that's all the questions I got there, Todd, man. Go ahead and take it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'd be remiss. Jared Melton, our department chair, he'd be beat me up if I don't mention this. We're going to hold the Be the One Mid-South Roundup May 15th and 17th through 17th at the Putnam County Convention Center. It's going to be a big Be the One fundraiser. Probably a lot of riders from different departments. So I wanted to mention that and put it out there. And of course, obviously invite you down as the national chair for that. And I'll get you more information as we get closer. But we're here in the home stretch of this first hour. Where are some places people can go find more information about the American Legion, and how can people get involved?
All right. So first of all, send me an invite, and I will.
All
right. I'll bring my bike down there.
All right.
Part of those facilities, especially if it's about Be the One.
It is. Yes, sir.
So, more individuals want to know about the American Legion Riders. It's simple. They go to legion.org/riders, and on that page on the national website, there's a whole bunch of information about how to become a rider. And then you can find a local chapter, just like you do if you want to be a member of the American Legion, the Sons, or the Auxiliary. You can find a local chapter, and you can join up the American Legion or the Auxiliary of the Sons by going there, finding the chapter that's near your house, and become. And the great thing about it is it has all the information. There's historical data from all the rides that we've had. Maybe not all the rides, but it goes back a few years. There's articles on there. There's even an article where they just interviewed me about this chairmanship on there. So that's a great avenue for information about the American Legion Riders. But there's also legion.org is a great place to find out why they should join the American Legion family.
Absolutely. And some of those writers, directors that maybe don't get to interact with you, or maybe a national officer on a regular basis, what are some words of encouragement from national could you give them to let them know that they're doing the right thing and on the right track?
It's funny you say that. I'm about to launch the Champions of Hope American Legion Riders podcast.
All right.
So
I love it.
And part of that is to bring awareness to what the rider community is doing, to get their stories. Right? Because National looks at us as the largest program that brings the largest amount of donation, right? So in order to inspire our riders, or to let them know how well they're doing, because our riders, it's like I said, you know, they ride for our veterans, they ride for the families, right? And they continue to hold the four pillars and strengthen our mission. So that podcast is going to be dedicated to them as champions of hope. I am going to hopefully get our national leadership, National Commander Dan Wiley,
Right.
President, SAO Commander, as well as some of the staff members, and of course, the most important people, the riders from across the various departments, and be guests on there.
Love it.
So that's how we're going to bring awareness to what they're doing. And by doing that, I hope we all will help bring in new members who want to join the American Legion family and give them, the riders, an understanding of why riding for the Veterans and Children's Foundation is so important, because of where the money goes and support those individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll go round the robin real quick here. Colonel, any final thought you may have here in the past last minute or so?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank David for his service to our nation and also what he's doing for the riders and the Legion. Even though I'm not a member of the Legion, I do appreciate what you do with that veteran service organization, and also, for what you're doing there at Aberdeen Proving Ground. I'm sure that you're making a positive difference in the trajectory of our history. So I thank you very much, and I offer you a salute.
Here. John, any final thought or question?
No, I kind of thinking ditto Chris there, and keep up the good work, David. We appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your experiences with us, and we love hearing it. That you're doing good work like that.
Well, thank you, brother.
Absolutely, yeah. And David, we'll come to you for final thought, and this way we're not going to have the music play you off at the end. We'll get you off respectfully.
We only do that to people we don't like.
I got you.
No.
I like to say thank you for having me. Right. Todd, we had a great conversation at convention.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to American Legion, I love talking as much as I can about the American Legion. So now I have a new challenge on top of being national chairman, and that's to get the Colonel to become a member of the largest veterans organization, get him on a bike, and get him to come join us.
There you go.
Legacy run. So that's one of the tasks that I have to do on my things to do list. And Todd, I need your help as well as you, John. I'll come and see you in PA, and I'll take you to the local post, brother. Let me know when you're ready. We'll go up to
Pittsburgh, not.
I think Chris is gonna
travel. So.
Chris is gonna show up in his Dodge Neon with a flag bigger than the car is, and he's gonna call that motorcycle ride
Dodge Neon.
Okay, listen, I'll put you on the back of a trike. I don't care. You join, I'll get you out there, brother. I'll put you out with me. All right.
Well, we'll wait till I finally cave in and let them replace my hip before we do that.
Well, you're on the trike. You don't have to do anything but sit back and just wave. Leave that.
Oh, that's true.
Right? Give that
I'm down for the Aberdeen event. That's for sure.
All right. Listen, I am truly humbled for being here. This is just the start of this journey in my chapter, and I look to promote the organization any way I can. Todd, thank you for what you're doing in the beautiful state of Tennessee. I look forward to coming and hang out. Invite me anytime. I'd love to come talk to your DEC or anyone over there about what we as riders do at the national organization and how your department can do the same thing for your state and the veterans living there. To the Colonel, thank you for what you did, brother. I'm sorry that I missed you at Leavenworth, but I Leonard Wood, right?
Yeah. No, we weren't at Leavenworth.
So I've been there in Kansas, but just to visit for work. I'm glad you had the good accommodations versus the Quonset huts. Right. But that's why you're a colonel and I'm a chief. And John, thank you, brother. I appreciate all you guys do. So
all right, folks. It's been David Heredia, National Chairman for the American Legion Riders. We'll have him on sometime in the future. Stick around. Be back after these messages, folks.
All right. Bye, everybody.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
ABC
ABC News. I'm Dave Packard. The U.S. military conducting a new airstrike on an alleged drug cartel boat, this time off Central America. The first such strike in the Pacific. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirming the 2 people on board were killed in the attack, adding, quote, "These cartels are waging war on our border and our people. There will be no refuge or forgiveness." The Trump administration has enacted sanctions on Russian oil. President Trump says he hopes the sanctions will hasten the end of the war in Ukraine.
They'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions, and sanctions on oil. The 2 biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world.
Vice President Vance met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel today to discuss the ceasefire deal and a peace plan. DeCarlos Brown Jr., the man charged in the fatal stabbing of a young woman on a Charlotte train, indicted today on federal charges that could get him the death penalty. This is ABC News. North Carolina lawmakers are set to approve new congressional maps favoring Republicans heading into the 2026 midterm elections. North Carolina's current maps are already under legal challenges after 2 Democratic-leaning districts were eliminated before the 2024 race. ABC's Avery Harper reports.
It's important to remember here that the state of North Carolina, their congressional delegation is already overwhelmingly Republican. 10 Republicans hold seats versus only 4 Democrats in that state. And this is something that we're seeing protesters speak about in that state because it could oust the state's only Black male member of Congress. And so we'll have to see what happens there. It's also important to remember that the governor, the Democratic governor in that state, cannot veto this map.
The FDA has recalled Black Sheep Egg Company eggs after salmonella was found at their processing facility. The CDC says kids under 5, older adults, and those with a weakened immune system are most at risk. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866. 800-549-8866.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
All right, folks, we're back after that break. Good interview with David Heredia, the chairman of the American Legion Riders, the national organization. Good interview. Hopefully we'll have him back soon. Round robin here. What do you guys think about the construction or destruction that's going on at the East Wing of the White House for the ballroom, and the hay made about it from the left? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, President Trump upped the estimated cost today from $50 million to $300 million. That got my attention. So now it's going to cost $300 million. I'm like, $300 million to build a ballroom? Good Lord, what's this thing made out of, gold and platinum? But it reminds me of Nancy Reagan back in the 1980s buying China for the White House, and the left freaking out in the Washington Post and accusing her of who is she to spend money. Well, it's not her money, and it's not our money. It was donated money. All the money was donated to purchase the silverware and the china, and it's a legacy that stays there to this day. So they can shut their mouths. And I said the same thing about this. This is all coming from Trump's pocket and private donations. And what's their problem? The White House has been renovated multiple times above ground and below ground. And, people need to get over themselves. There's nothing wrong with this. The White House needs a ballroom to host heads of state and large events, and it really doesn't have what it needs. So I have no problem with it whatsoever. But I'm laughing about how they put this up and like Trump is a dictator. He's ripping down the White House. It's costing American taxpayers $250 million. No, it doesn't cost American taxpayers a penny. Apparently, you're not well informed. So I just think it's comical. The left is flailing. They just keep making things up all the time. Look, I just read military.com, and they have veterans out protesting the King's rally. But I made a meme for that. I've got a picture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He's the king. Elected to 4 presidential terms. So they seem to forget that. And then I showed the picture of the current king and queen. Chucky Schumer, who's never had a job in his life. He's been in government for 5 decades. And then Nancy Pelosi's been in Congress and government for 38 years. That's 88 years between them. Donald Trump hasn't even been in office for 5 years, and they're calling him a king. It's just ludicrous. But as far as the East Wing, they can take that and shove it because they know what they're talking about.
Right. Go ahead, John.
No, it is. Chris is right. It is impressive that Donald Trump is raising the money, and we're getting businessmen and such to bring up the funds and stuff to get this job done. It's an impressive feat, and I think it's time overdue to see something like this because it's a better way to like Chris said, entertain dignitaries and stuff, ambassadors for large parties. It could be beneficial for us in the long run. Any businessman will tell you, hey, we want to be able to entertain our guests. This is how business gets done. You don't bring them there to bore them. You bring them there to make them feel good about being there, make it a pleasant experience for them to visit. I do question if they're going to use it for a dining hall or anything at any time to sit 600 people. If the kitchen can handle that kind of outing, but it probably can because they've had dinners in the Rose Garden stuff, expanded out beyond just a dining area.
Yeah.
The only thing it may impact as far as the taxpayer goes is upkeep over time, but that's spread out over time. I don't think we're going to really feel it on the upkeep. So, yeah, Chris is right. The left is just whining about much ado of nothing, and I'm in favor for it. We've seen presidents after presidents make different changes within the White House. Such as the back deck there that was put on there with the renovation
Truman
stuff, and I think we've had stuff done the cellar bowling alleys at times and other things at times. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably time overdue. I thought about it first. I was reacting to it like most people. Then I thought about wait a minute. Once I looked up and saw it was being paid for by private sector, I mean, how generous of them and for the benefit of the nation. So, wow, when I saw that, I'm like, hey, you know what? You can't beat that.
Yeah, the East Wing is cramped anyway, and it's the First Lady's office. White House military office has some offices there, and I think the calligraphers and a few other smaller little offices, social secretary, etc. So very small. There's no real room to hold any events there because it's just offices in the East Wing, and that's generally where you would go to a tour or to an event in the White House is through there. And of course, check your coat at the theater as you walk in, which is right there at the Colonnades anyway, not even in the White House proper. So. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It's fine. I mean, $250 million. It only goes back to the 1940s anyway. It's not like George Washington helped build the original walls or something. You know what I mean?
Well, the East Wing's historical as it is, but just the same, it's as the left likes to say, it's time for progress. It's time for growth.
Yeah, so and I think everything inside their paneling and anything historical has been taken out and dismantled and put somewhere. So
they're preserving anything historical, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're tearing it down with paintings on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah. They didn't just take a whole wrecking ball and swing it and knock it down.
Right. Yeah. Whatever happens.
Yeah. Damn the consequences.
Right. Well, anyway, where are we right now with the Schumer's shutdown? Has the Democrats are they going to suffer in any of the consequences, or just going to be blamed on the Republicans? As every shutdown generally gets blamed on eventually.
As we went to air, the Senate Democrats voted it down again, 54 to 44. It was 12 so that's 12 times now. That was like a minute before we went on air.
12 GOP,
so it's pretty soon. Let's set the record. During the Joe Biden regime, the Democrats passed 13 flat. No increased spending authorizations 13 times in those 4 years, continuing resolutions. Now they've denied the same thing 12 times. And oh, by the way, why are they doing this? Because of the Unaffordable Care Act. The Unaffordable Care Act, as I said, when this scam was perpetrated on the American people years ago, is exactly that, a scam. It destroyed and disrupted the insurance market for medical care, and people can't afford it. And now that the premiums, the chickens are coming home to roost, because who sunset this clause? Not a Republican Congress, not a Republican president, but a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president under Obama. Remember, Nancy Pelosi just signed the bill. We'll read it afterwards. Well,
Right.
you morons that signed the bill gave this problem to us now. And they're blaming it on Trump. It's comical how stupid people are. And, here's the thing. Even if the Republicans cave and give $1.4 trillion of money that we don't have, burying this country further in debt to give these pet projects to illegal aliens, medical care, and all these other things and subsidies for health care that the Democrats are demanding unrealistically, even if they do that, most people will still see their premiums go up because this is the end of the ACA as it was designed. So there's an article here in NBC of all places talking about a couple whose premiums are $450 because of the subsidies from you and me, the taxpayers, so they get free health care per month, $450 per month. Even if the bill, if the subsidy remains, their bill increases by $500 a month, doubling. Even without that. So even if the Democrats got their way, these people are still going to have unaffordable health insurance because the way that the insurance market was perverted by the demon rats, and now the chickens are coming home to roost. And I said that when this garbage was passed. In fact, I had emergency gallbladder surgery right after this bill was passed when I came back from Africa on a flight. And I was joking with my anesthesiologist, and I said, listen, the thing they should have fixed was tort reform. They should have done away with this nonsense of suing somebody for millions of dollars when you're injured and give a reasonable amount. And since they didn't fix tort reform, if you screw up my anesthesia, my heirs will sue you for every penny you got, and they'll get it. And to which the anesthesiologist says, I'm not understanding what he's talking about.
Did you understand what you're talking about? Or you thought?
It made me think of the movie there with Chris Tucker. It's like, do you understand what Jackie Chan? Do you understand what's coming out of my mouth? Don't nobody understand what's coming out of your mouth.
Absolutely. So now the mayoral race in New York, that's another one that's going to be tight here, and I'm hoping that this daggone this psychotic Zohran Mamdani doesn't walk away from it. But apparently he's eating at some very swanky restaurants in New York, trying to pretend like he's a socialist or a working class guy. But he's eating at one of the most upscale, most expensive sushi restaurants in the country, trying to pretend like he's just an everyday working class guy. Come on now.
He's also hanging out with a radical Islamic fanatic imam who spoke on behalf of the Blind Sheikh, the man affiliated with terror groups that bombed the World Trade Center in 1994. Yep. And so this clown it's not tight. This guy's going to be the next mayor of New York. New York has gone from a city that was united after radical Islamic fanatics destroyed the World Trade Centers, murdered over 3,000 people, or close to 3,000 people, and altered the trajectory of history for their fanaticism. New York has gone from a city under attack by Muslims to a city invaded by Muslims, and now a radical Muslim fanaticist is going to take over, a Jew hater. And this is the same city that without a Jew, without a Muslim, they had a clown as mayor during lockdown. They shut down all the churches. They shut down all the synagogues. And what did they keep open during that? They kept the mosque open. So New York City is lost to us, like London is lost. The West is being conquered from within. And that is not an Islamophobic comment. So I don't want to hear the nonsense where people want to say that. I've lived in majority Muslim countries, and I obeyed the norms and cultural behaviors there. And even fasted during Ramadan in solidarity with my classmates at Tunisian Staff College. So I don't want to hear this nonsense. I don't have an issue with Islam. I have an issue with Islamic fanaticism. And I have an issue with people who want to turn Christian countries into Muslim centers. You have conquered North Africa. It's yours. Keep it in the Middle East.
Well, Chris, in my neighborhood. Just to let you know, I've made some pretty bold statements like that in the past on this show, and I've yet to receive the hate mail. Darn it.
Nope.
Well, I'm sure it'll come. Someone will dig it up when I'm appointed ambassador to Trinidad or something like that.
That's the day Chris was a racist or a xenophobe,
Islamophobe. Oh, I'm not a xenophobe. I love that when they come at me because I'm not. No, I know, but I love when they come at me because I don't have a problem with people coming to America legally.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like I was saying to somebody, conservatives don't mind helping out in social programs when social programs are safe for people that mentally are incapable of taking care of themselves. We don't want to throw them into the street. We don't want them just to sit there and suffer. We want to take care of people that can't take care of themselves. We just don't want the lady with the 6 kids and the drug dealer to support all this crap. It's like, it's a drug dealer. That's the issue. We're not supporting drug dealers because she's shacking up with a lady with 6 kids. This is getting to be nonsense.
Right. And maybe only one of them is his kids, right?
If any. I mean, it's convenience for him. He's a drug dealer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's ironic to see. It's always these rich white people and these rich privileged people from other groups who push this socialist nonsense. I mean, Karl Marx was not exactly a starving student.
No,
he pushed this garbage. Trotsky wasn't a starving student. Neither was Lenin. Now Stalin was just a brutal thug, and he used the Communist Party to rise to power. He wasn't a real communist, but he didn't believe in it anyway. He just believed in what he believed in. But it's Zohran Mamdani is a privileged little whiny baby who's had everything handed to him: elite schools, elite life, lived in Uganda, lived in South Africa, lived in the United States. And his controversial, radical, lunatic father. These people are really dangerous. The fact that we let them in our country, we live with the consequences of it. And like London now, our biggest city is going to fall to a fanatic. And that's really sad. What's really sad about this is that of the 3 people in the race, the only person that's even remotely sane is Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels, who's actually done something positive for New York. Zohran Mamdani simply bled the city dry, getting rich and lying about things, even at the age of just 34. And, Cuomo, of course, has been disastrous for New York City and the state.
Right. Yeah. And it's sad that, here we are talking about people, at least 2 on the left, Mamdani and Cuomo. And Cuomo is the best alternative that you have to him on the left. I mean, come on.
I find it comical looking at the polls that they're telling Sliwa should withdraw. So he adds his 14% to Cuomo's 28%, assuming every single one of those voters goes there, which won't happen.
Right.
That's just 42%. He's still losing. He's getting thumped by 10 or 12%. I mean, what's the benefit of that? What we can hope for is that all these people that run their mouths don't actually go to polls, and real people go out and vote. But New York is lost. It's been flooded with illegals. It's been flooded with people who don't share the values of New Yorkers, whether they're Christians, Muslims, Jews, and they're radical. And this is the outcome of it. Next, I mean, look, we already have idiots in charge of Chicago. Brandon Johnson. Let's go, Brandon. We have an idiot going to be in charge of New York very soon. I mean, we've gone from a city that was bankrupt and was a disaster in the 1970s to one rescued by Rudy Giuliani and turned into a gleaming jewel that it once was. And now under Bloomberg, it's regressed. And then under, Wilhelm, whatever his name was, de Blowhard. His real name is Wilhelm. De Blasio really took this city in the wrong direction. And then Eric Adams, the wrong direction. And now we're going to get this lunatic. We are seeing the invasion and occupation of American cities by alien cultures and alien thoughts, and people run around and scream diversity. Diversity. This is a attitude that doesn't care about diversity. It wants elimination of things that aren't like it, and that's who he is. But I think the guy's a fraud, to be honest. I think he's really just a grifter who wants to make a bunch of money and be famous, and that's what it's all about for Zohran Mamdani. And whenever I hear his name, I think of the Bond movie where Zorg is the bad guy. So I think it's Zohran. He's a Bond villain.
Right. Yes. Oh, I am Zohran Mamdani, Mr. Bond. Something like that. He's stroking a little cat.
Stroking a little hairless cat. I mean, it's $1 billion, Dr. Evil.
Yeah. We are going to plunge this city into more chaos.
As if New York City could be put in more chaos.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, you got good police that are fleeing the city left and right. Workers that are fleeing. Good people that have had generations, of family roots there that are leaving to go elsewhere. Some of them coming down mid-South, some of them are going all the way to the South. Some of them are even moving out west now, to some of those sunnier states out there. I mean, taking their money, generational roots and just leaving. And it's sad.
Well, that's been going on in New York for 15 or 20 years, and it's had a major impact. By the way, did you see what this idiot wants to do? The Washington Times reported that he wants to put a tax on white people to pay for blacks and Hispanics. So he wants to raise tax rates on people in New York City based on their skin color.
But isn't he technically white also, sort of, right?
Well, technically under U.S. law, Arabs are white. So, but I love how the Arabs
discriminating. Is that what you're getting at, Chris?
What talking about is we have apartheid rule in New York City. That's what's coming. They want to tax white people at a higher rate than they tax anybody else. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? And there's probably idiot white people with blue hair and pink hair running around going, "Oh, this is right. And the patriarchy. Oh, Trump's evil." Where did Trump come into this?
Who mind you, are just going to simply identify as something else so they don't have to be taxed at a higher rate when it comes to
I think they should all identify as dingbat doorknobs because that's what they are.
Why are you taxing a dingbat doorknob over here? Hey.
I need a little of that foghorn leghorn. I say, boy, come here. A little foghorn leghorn there. But no, it's insane. I mean, I'm not making this up. That was released by the Washington Times last night. His tax structure he wants to impose on New Yorkers means that white folks will be paying more intentionally than anybody else. What kind of nonsense? It's bad if we already have progressive taxes in this country, which is immoral. Some people pay more in taxes percentage of income than other people do. In fact, some pay a lot. The top 1% pay like almost 37% of all the taxes in this country. The top 10% pay 90%. Almost nobody pays anything below the 50% line. It's insane. Now we go from that to white people are the ones that have to pay the tax. So does that mean that if Oprah lives in New York, she doesn't have to pay the high taxes? She's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the millionaires of the billionaires. And speaking of Bernie Sanders, he's supporting a guy in Maine. A Maine Democratic Center hopeful backed by Bernie Sanders apologized for Nazi-style tattoo, vows to stay in the race. Graham Plattner says he got the tattoo covered up that he received in 2007 whenever he was on serving in the Marine Corps, whenever he was on leave. I don't see the tattoo anywhere, but so a Nazi-style tattoo would get you destroyed if you were on the right, but if you're in the Democrat Party, you could still be the nominee for the U.S. Senate.
Todd, let me explain this to you.
Washing out my underwear.
You understand? I'm Jewish. And big Jewish from New Hampshire. Vermont. From Vermont. Big Jewish from Vermont. It's quite okay because we support Nazis up here. We love them. He's not really a Nazi because he's a Democrat. He can be a Nazi all day long as he's a Democrat and he votes with us. And and because of him, I no longer have 2 pairs of underwear. Now I got 4.
He's got more underwear. Yeah, right. Stolen off of somebody, probably. All right. Yeah. But anyway, so how they can look the other way for somebody like that. But if it was somebody on the right, no, they would just completely destroy.
Well, look at Santos. He's a thoroughly disreputable guy, but they just look. I mean, this isn't even the worst. Look at the Virginia race for Secretary, the Treasurer, Secretary of State, the race down there in Virginia, where this guy is like dreaming and fantasizing about murdering the children of people, right-wing politicians. I mean, this is sick. This is sick. And then that race is actually turning in the favor of the governor because the candidate for governor, Spanberger, won't distance herself. She says the guy can run. And Nancy Pelosi says, well, he's the better candidate. The better candidate who fantasizes about murdering people? I think the guy's mentally unstable. He needs to be locked up in a house and put in a straitjacket.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And Winsome Sears running for governor there, and she's a lieutenant governor right now, Marine Corps veteran. People in Virginia don't come out and vote for her. There's definitely something wrong in Virginia, anyway.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant. It's just like the lieutenant governor there in North Carolina was pretty brilliant too. But Winsome Sears is amazing. And in fact, so where are the Democrats? She's a black woman. Were they racist because they're not voting for her? I mean, if it was a Democrat and we weren't voting for the Democrat, we'd be called racist. They're not voting for Winsome Sears. She's a female. She's black. I mean, that should be like 100% vote. I mean, what are you all racist? Come on, Virginians, are you racist? Come on, admit it. You're racist. Come on, admit it. You're racist.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, they only give you 1 or 2 alternatives, right? John, exactly. What are your thoughts there?
My thoughts are, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and she said that the last mayoral race here in Nashua, New Hampshire, only was won by 600 votes. Unfortunately, Republicans only came to vote at 1 Republican for 9 registered voters. We could beat these guys if we get out and vote. We'd beat these guys if we'd stand up and start taking some action and stop being lazy, complacent, or feeling defeated. I don't know if people are being taught learned helplessness or what's going on here, but if you're getting sick and tired of these issues, you got to get out there and be part of the solution. You got to get out there and vote. You got to get involved. You got to get like Todd here, getting involved in his local board of education. It's time to get involved. It's time to start taking back your communities. It's time to start taking back your local politics, get involved in your local politics, and network and work together to do it. It's enough is enough with this nonsense because this stuff is getting real. Chris isn't wrong.
Absolutely.
When he's talking about New York City, he's not joking. These guys are really seriously trying to corrupt this country. These guys are, and some of these guys, like you said, they have jihadists. You call them jihadists, I guess, whatever, these extremist Muslims. We're not sitting here saying all Muslims are bad. We're not trying to knock on Muslims for being Muslims, but there are Islamists that are trying to promote Islamism within the United States to take over the United States. And they do have plans and agendas to infiltrate our politics. They do have plans and agendas to infiltrate our communities. And they do wish to have your kids all covered up with like hijabs and all this other nonsense and praying 5 times a day. They're ringing the bell 5 times a day in Dearborn, Michigan right now. They got a legal right to do it. I'm not denying it. Predominantly Muslim community. And they passed code to ring the bell 5 times a day to call people to prayer. But if this is not what you want in your community, you need to stand up and do something now. And talking on social media doesn't do it, guys. I see these guys on social media thinking they're in the trenches and really doing the good. You can take all the politicians you want on social media. They're not paying you any mind or attention.
No.
You got to be a man in the arena. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Liking some nonsense on social media, maybe sharing, you think you're being brave. That's not being brave. I'm sorry.
No, it's got the point of being nonsensical.
Right. It may help spread some, whatever. Mostly it's in an echo chamber. Anybody who follows you on social media generally are people who agree with you for the most part. And people who interact with anything you put out there politically, it's just an echo chamber for the most part.
Yeah, there's this demand that we have respect for diversity in other faiths, but people don't have respect for our faith. I mean, look at London, where Islamists go or Muslims go and take their shoes off and sit on the Anglican church grounds and have prayers when they have 1,000 mosques in the city. Go to a mosque. Why are you insulting our faith? My goodness, we had the situation a few weeks back in which a Christian was preaching at Hyde Park. And a Muslim complained because when the Muslim is up there, it's supposed to be a debate. And he said, I'm here to debate. And the Christian asked questions. And he didn't like what the Christian had to ask. They were legitimate questions about his faith. So then when the Christian got up and spoke and walked over to cop and said, I feel threatened. This isn't right. I mean, what he's saying is I'm fearful. They warned the Christian to stop speaking at Hyde Park or he would be arrested. This is a society that's backwards and gone wrong. Right. This is a society that arrests 16-year-old kids standing on the street carrying the Union Jack in the United Kingdom. It's the national flag. They have no pride in their country. They've surrendered it to people who have no cultural assimilation or desire to be part or to be a Brit. It's sick. It's twisted. This isn't like when the Windrush generation went to the UK after post-World War II and were needed because there were no men. They all got killed in the war. And so and you had 2 generations of that. You had the First World War with the Big Dip, all his men died in the First World War. Then you had another one in the Second World War. And the Windrush generation of people from the Caribbean came to the UK and made a major contribution to social life, to industry, to society, became Brits, adopted cultural mores and norms, retained some of their cultures, stick to this. This isn't that. These are groups illegally slipping into the UK, them being housed by the government at the expense of Brits who live worse than these people living in hotels and living in housing that they're provided for free of charge at the expense of Brits and British taxpayers. And then they bifurcate society. They create Sharia zones in London. Excuse me, I lost a second there. London, also in where's the damn airport? I mean, anyway,
Manchester?
No, not Manchester. Well, yeah, they're Manchester too, but no, but I mean, I've been through one. No, not Heathrow. There's 5 up airports, and drawing a blank right now. It's not Stansted. It's not London. It's anyway. But the point here is that I've been through these towns, and it's like living in Karachi or in Baghdad or in Riyadh. If you want Riyadh, go to Riyadh. There's a distinct culture, distinct faith there, distinct style of dress, distinct behavior. That's their cup of tea. That's their prerogative. But one shouldn't be subjected to that in their own hometown, whether it's Harrisburg or it's Hilton Head or it's Holyoke in the UK. It's utter nonsense, and this is something that needs to change. And when you say these things, they call you a bigot. Of course, these are the people that never lived among Muslims. These are the people that don't speak 6 languages. These are the people that never defended Muslims from other Muslims trying to murder them. So they know what they're talking about. I've been there. I've done that. I've got the T-shirt and the scars, so they can shove it where the sun don't shine.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, you listen to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. You can also check us out online at wsmn.live on the internet. So I'm Todd McKinley in Northeast Tennessee, joined by my co-host Colonel Chris Wyatt and John Grosvenor in the studio. Yeah, great discussions so far. John, how's things going in New Hampshire? How's the New Hampshire politics?
Chris
Well-
Sununu.
No, not Chris Sununu, actually Brother John Sununu.
I know. I think facetious Brett Bear said Chris Sununu. I said John Sununu in my news report, and I laughed when he said Chris Sununu tonight. It was a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's making fun of the guy.
I'm making fun of Brett Bear, who said Chris Sununu. I'm like, no, it's not Chris Sununu. It's John Sununu. Then they, to their credit, they corrected at the end of the news before we went live.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got that confused. I mean, they are brothers, and John Sununu was at one time held a seat in the House for one term, I think, or maybe two, and he held a one term in the Senate, and now he decided to throw his hat back in the ring again, and so he's going to run on this next election cycle in the Senate. So he's going up against in the primary. Probably his greatest threat is Scott Brown, and I'm not
From
sure.
Massachusetts. I don't think that's a threat.
I gotta say, I'm not sure. He does. No, Scott Brown does live in New Hampshire now. He is originally from Massachusetts. You're right. And I want to say there was an issue with him, and I forget what that issue was.
Well, he has a track record as a senator there. Wasn't he governor also briefly too? Or maybe I'm mistaken about that. I know he's a senator. He filled in that Senate seat. But no, I don't think that's competition. I think if Don Bolduc ran again, that would be competition.
That would be awesome. I'd love to see him.
But
anyway, I think my prediction is it's going to come down to Sununu and Chris Pappas in the general election.
Okay.
And it's going to be a tough race for Sununu.
Going to be a lot of money, a lot of blood spilled, perhaps.
I'm expecting a lot of money. In fact, I was discussing that with somebody recently, and they were like, it's going to be like $50 million or something per candidate or so. Yeah, this thing's getting out of hand now with all this spending. And it's to my understanding, a lot of the DC money's already back in Sununu and Brown. So we'll see how that goes. I guess there's a lot of people throwing their hat in the ring. I haven't looked at the names and stuff, but those are the two that I do know of. And we're just going to have to see how it goes between those two. But yeah, I put my money on Sununu to beat out Brown.
Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So who are you going to back? Or are you just going to wait to see how it plays out?
I am going to be doing some research and looking at all the candidates. I don't like to, I'm not sitting there jumping on Sununu for namesake or Brown because I happen to have seen his name before. So, I'm not going to be one of those type people. I want to really start doing, I know Sununu already. I started looking some stuff up, and on the Freedom Index, he was only pushing 58%. It's not very high as far as the Freedom Index goes. I know he's gone against certain gun laws, but he's also stood up against abortion bills that have come up. And so there's a lot to look into, though, to see about past votes, history and stuff, and see what he has to say today. That's the most important thing, is see if he's changed on his platform some and gauge it. That's all you can do.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully we can get him on this program. That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe we just probe him that way, right?
Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. Put his feet to the fire right here at Common Sense Conservatives.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Absolutely. So yeah, round robin. Anything else anybody wants to discuss? I don't want to hog the spotlight.
Yeah, no, I got plenty of stuff here specifically this week. Howard University professor of journalism Dr. Stacy Patton believes that white allies should take a page out of insurrectionist John Brown's book. She's openly calling for white people to raise an insurrection in this country. This race baiter from Howard University, which, by the way, I once upon a time had someone from Howard University with a PhD who was functionally illiterate. So I'm not too convinced of what they teach at Howard University, which is ironically named after a white abolitionist. But anyway, she said that Brown himself was wounded and 10 of his followers, including 2 sons, were killed. This, of course, when he stormed Harper's Ferry. He was tried for murder, slave insurrection, and treason against the state, was convicted and hanged. So when white allies ask, what can I do? Here's the answer. Be like John Brown. Ask yourself what I'm willing to burn so somebody else can breathe. Brown didn't need a syllabus, a think piece, a guidebook, and allyship. He didn't need affirmation from black folks that he was one of the good ones. He saw the horror for what it was and decided that ending the racist effery mattered more than being understood. Well, listen, I'm sorry, Stacy, race baiting, race hater there, Stacy Patton, Dr. Stacy Patton, but your vicious behavior, your scumbag attitude towards Americans is really repulsive. White allies? I don't know what planet you're on. I'm not an ally of anybody except our Constitution and Americans. and I don't care if they're black, white, or brown, Christian, Muslim, or Jew, if they're Americans who adhere to our social norms, mores, and our laws, then they're on my team. But people like you are just race baiters and race haters and anti-white. It's disgusting. You know what? You can take your white ally stuff with your little pink-haired tunnies, omas and grannies, and you can just march right on out there to your No Kings rally. But I'll tell you what, I'll stand there with my photograph of King Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the current king and queen of the ball. That would be Chucky Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They've been in government for 88 years, and you're whining about Donald Trump being officer for just 5 years. You know, it's just, these people are beyond redemption. I mean, Hillary Clinton got the word right, except she was talking about her own people. They're irredeemables. Or she called them deplorables. Both of them, I think she called them deplorables and irredeemables. A basket of deplorables. That's what these people are. These are dangerous people running around denying that Portland is on fire, throwing race into everything under the sun. I'm sorry, how did Robert Johnson become a billionaire with BETV? Oh, I guess it was the plantation that did it for him, kept him on the plantation. What about Oprah Winfrey, a billionaire? The list goes on and on and on. What about the wildly overrepresentation of people in the Democratic Party in Congress who are black, the wildly overrepresentation of black academics, the wildly overrepresented black general officers in the military? When you make up 7% of the general of the officer corps in the military, you shouldn't be 18% of the generals. There's something mathematically wrong about that. So you are performing at 300% the rate of your peers who are Asian, white, and Hispanic? No. You've been promoted because it's politically correct. Now, that doesn't mean you're not capable, but there's a dozen other guys that are capable who look different than you. And for appearance's sake, we play these games. I'm so sick of this garbage. You know, these people, this perpetual victimhood. This is what's held back the black community in America is victimhood. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and charlatans like that who preach victimhood and hatred of other people. And the reason why you're a failure is because the system did it to you. The reason why you're on food stamps is because the system did it to you. The reason why you have 6 children by 5 different women is because the system made you do it. They're the ones that denied you a condom. They're the ones that denied you responsible behavior as an adult. No. You are the architect of your own failure, not the system. The system obviously works because black folks, Native Americans, Asian Americans, white folks, Hispanics, all rise from lower classes in the upper mobility of our society. If you don't make it, it's your fault. Don't blame racism. Don't blame slavery. Don't blame, Thomas Jefferson. Start taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. Only then. We were robbed. Guys, we were robbed. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated before his time. Had King survived into the 70s, I don't think we would see the garbage we see today in the society. Barack Obama never would have been possible had Dr. King lived another 20 years. Never would have been possible. I almost guarantee it. He would not have stomached that garbage.
No, there was a school of thought that King was assassinated by his own people because he was the barrier keeping them from breaking out into violence, and they wanted the violence because they thought.
Well, that's why Malcolm X was murdered by his own people for that reason. Yeah. No, but I mean, this is because Malcolm X, was very radical, and then he talked about common sense things. We can't have that. We want someone that's going to threaten the white man. This is ridiculous. And white allies. What are white allies? That's racist. Yeah. I mean, what do you mean? How about just allies to your cause, not white allies? What is that nonsense? Anyway, I'm just sick of this nonsense.
Yeah. Well, it's people that, they're just fools, and people want to talk about racism at every turn, but are amongst the most racist people that are out there. At every turn they see racism, or you've been put upon because of your race. It's like, how about they're victims of their own circumstances in life in general, as we all are. We all start at a certain point, but we don't sit there and blame everybody because, I blame my mother and father because I couldn't do something to better myself, for crying out loud. Yeah, now they're middle-class folks, but, I could probably do something, to launch myself to do a little bit better. But you start off at a certain point, a positive point, hopefully most people, and you stand on the shoulders of your parents or a guardian or whatever, and you propel yourself in life further to be more successful. And of course, I think that's the way to pay homage to your parents and your guardians who cared about you, is to try to do better than they did instead of just sitting around waiting for society to force you into victimhood, which is not the truth. Anyway,
well, and
I rambled there. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It goes right into this nonsensical narrative about generational wealth, as if that's a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with generational wealth. If you work hard and earn and develop and build something, you should be able to bequeath that to whomever you want, including your heirs. Yep. But, these people act like everybody has generational wealth. My mother, my father, my stepfather, my other stepfather have all passed on. Do you know what I got? Nothing except DNA. All I got was DNA. And I made the most of it. So I don't want to hear this crap about generational wealth and how people have it. I mean, my family were elite nobles in the courts of kings of England. And the first royal governor of Jamestown County, Virginia, was his 17th great uncle. One of the best poets in the history of England was my ancestor, Adam Wyatt. This is not Adam Wyatt. Excuse me. Sorry. The wrong one. Anyway, but Thomas Wyatt. Anyway, but it's ridiculous to hear this nonsense. I mean, I didn't grow up with any of that. Wasn't bequeathed any of that. The only thing I was bequeathed from all of those thousands of years of history and human development was the DNA that I've got. That's it. I didn't get any generational wealth. So stop the nonsense. If I have money to leave to people, then that's my prerogative, other than the state confiscating it. So if you happen to be from a family that's done well, I mean, I don't begrudge the family of Robert Johnson. I assume he had kids. I don't know the story of the guy found at BET. He's welcome to leave it to his heirs. Kenneth Chenault, who headed American Express, a Black American, he's welcome to leave that wealth to his kids behind. That's his prerogative. And this nonsense about generational wealth is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. People who build a legacy, it should last. And there's nothing wrong with being born a child of privilege. Nothing wrong with that. But, it's what you do with your life. It's the content of your character. It's the behavior. It's the nature of your actions. That's what matters. That is the secret sauce, one of the secret sauces that made America, America. And this garbage that we've been fed for the past 15 years since the rise of Barack Hussein Obama to the White House about people should be ashamed of who they are. We're guilty, collective guilt for the actions of people in the past. That's nonsense. That's un-American. Those people hate America. America is you are you. You are responsible for you, not your parents. We don't take you out and shoot you all in the gulag because your cousin was caught stealing something like they do in the Soviet Union. No, you are you. You are responsible for you. And that's as far as it goes. Your grandfather was the president of the United States. So what? Your grandfather was a convicted bank robber. So what? It's not you. You are you. You are held accountable for your actions. And that's the magic of America, not this garbage that these racists and these hypocrites and these leftist lunatics push. And quite frankly, I've about had enough of it. The behavior going on the streets of the United States right now, these lies, no more kings, and go out and attack the agents and follow the agents around. It is time to begin to enforcing the law. And I'm calling on the Trump administration to stop pussyfooting around and start using the authority of the federal government to go after these politicians who are arguing for insurrection, including that former soldier in Oregon on the city council who's telling National Guardsmen to disobey lawful orders by lying and confusing them because they don't know. Some of them are being told that they're being told something's illegal. It is not illegal. The purpose of the Guard includes civil disturbance, and they can be federalized by the federal government. It's a matter of law. It's a matter of the Constitution. And these people need to start being held accountable for their actions, including the reprobates in Congress who are calling for this nonsense. This is beyond the pale. This is an insurrection taking place. Insurrections don't have to have weapons. As they told us on January 6th, there were no weapons there. That was an insurrection. Insurrections are flaunting the authority of the federal government. You are violating federal authority, and that's what they're doing. Attacking ICE agents in the streets, following them around, endangering lives, doxing ICE agents. Stop it. Stop pussyfooting around. Get serious about this and start arresting these people. And these media outlets, they should be ashamed of themselves. And quite frankly, if they're required to have license to broadcast, it should be pulled. When they propagate propaganda, they should have their license pulled and won't be able to broadcast. If one of these major networks comes out there and shows nonsense and says, well, this is, they're just rounding people up. They're not rounding people up. They're going after criminal alien invaders. But they said they were going to have criminals. Well, it doesn't matter. They're all criminals. So I'm tired of it. And it's about time for this government to start doing its job. Trump allowed this nonsense to manifest and fester in 2020, and I hold him responsible, and I hold the government responsible now. And any governor like Ribs McFadden there in frickin' Chicago, in Illinois, Ribs McFadden, that clown, and Brandon Johnson, they should have federal indictments against them for fomenting insurrection, quite frankly, both of them. And we can start there. We can work our way over to California and start going after gruesome Gavin Newsom. These people are illegitimate leaders who are calling for violence against federal authorities who are simply executing the rule of law. Laws, by the way, the Democrats voted for. They're the ones. Remember the law and order president? That was Bill Clinton. And remember with Senator Clinton and Chucky Schumer arguing these people are illegal. They should be arrested and deported. What changed? Their electoral fortunes changed. And now they're for everything that isn't Donald Trump and everything that's un-American. They're anti-American. And quite frankly, they're kind of satanic.
Yeah. Evil.
I would caution about infringing on people's constitutional rights to free speech.
No. Free speech is free speech. Inciting violence, fomenting an insurrection is not free speech.
That's not free speech. Correct. We've had that discussion. And as far as Trump's authority, we discussed that on this show under Title 10 USC Section 253. The president may use the militia, armed forces, or both, or by any other means necessary when states refuse to enforce their own laws.
It's the law. It's the law. So look, I mean, no, of course people have a right to free speech. I have no problem with this no brains protest. I mean, no King's protest. Sorry, I no brains. Yeah, I have no problem with that. These idiots can go out and protest all they want as long as they have a permit. They don't disrupt the public peace. They're not causing any scenes. Correct. I have no problem with that. They look foolish. I was hilarious watching. I've always said stupid people should carry signs. Guess what? All weekend they carried signs at No King's rally. Showed how stupid they were. I have no problem with that. Expose yourself. Yeah, show your sign. Here's your sign, as Bill Engvall said. I don't have a problem with that. But people who foment violence, people who threaten federal authorities, people who dox federal authorities, that is not free speech. There are consequences to speech. And when you commit crimes, you should be held accountable. These people are committing crimes. And that city councilman in Oregon, in Portland, needs to be arrested. And I don't know if he has a reserve obligation or if he's still in the guard or whatever. But if he has any federal obligation, he needs to be recalled to active duty and have a court martial for his actions because he's inciting federalized National Guard troops to disobey lawful orders.
Yep, absolutely. And be well within the rights of the National Guard or the big army, whatever, to recall him and court martial him. That's absolutely correct, 100%.
So weaponizing speech is not free speech, and they accused Trump of that. Remember, January 6, 2021, they said Trump did that.
Which of course was a lie. I heard what Trump said before I walked to the Capitol building. He said, "Let's walk peacefully to the Capitol building and let our voices be heard." He didn't say break into the building. He didn't say carry firearms. He didn't say attack anybody. He didn't say cause chaos. He encouraged people to peacefully. He used the word. It's right there. Is a recording of it. Peacefully march there and have our voices be heard. That is a constitutionally guaranteed right under the First Amendment. How is that a problem?
Right.
Only for Democrats and fake Republicans.
Right.
Yeah, fake Republicans. Hey, did you guys hear about this judge in the Chicago area announced that under his ruling, any ICE agents come into his court building that they can be arrested for trying to arrest illegal immigrants?
Well, that judge is going to find himself indicted under federal statutes. And just like the other judge who was letting illegal aliens slip out the back door when ICE came to arrest him, she wound up in jail. She's not laughing now. Laughing now. The fact that someone has a robe and they're a judge doesn't mean they have common sense or that they obey the law. We had the Warren Court, the Warren Court under back in the 1960s and 70s.
Earl Warren,
who passed the Voting Rights Act, 1960s. The Supreme Court passed the Voting Rights Act, which is unconstitutional. The Voting Rights Act forces the federal government to create districts that are majority black. That's unconstitutional. That is not equal protection. That violates equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment. All Americans must be treated equally under the law. When you artificially create things like affirmative action, which is not affirmative, it's destructive action. When you create voting districts that look like this, drawn across Louisiana from one end to the other, bifurcating a state to get a couple cities that are majority black population because of the racist bigotry of thinking that, well, white people won't vote for black people. Really? How did Tim Scott become the Republican from South Carolina? How do other black politicians get elected if white folks? How did Barack Obama become the president when 75% of the voters were white? Because they voted for him. And to put this the other way, flip it around, will black folks not vote for white folks? Well, they do. In Zimbabwe, we saw Roy Bennett, a member of the Movement for Democratic Change, in a 99.7% black district elected to the parliament. Overwhelmingly, over 78% of the vote for him. So if a white man can be elected by all those black people in a country in Africa, surely Americans will vote for the best candidate. And if you put a black person up as the best candidate, people will vote for them. But Bobby Jindal is not your average Anglo-Saxon. He's an Indian.
No,
Yet a majority white state, Louisiana, elected him to be the governor a couple of times, did they not? I mean, the burger court or the war court.
I will say Bobby Jindal's accent is very, very white, just so you know.
Well, yeah, it's very, very southern too, but that's because he grew up down there. But the point is that it is bigoted and racist to assume that white voters won't vote for a black candidate. Winston Sears in Virginia is lieutenant governor.
Yep.
She has in the polls 44% of the vote right now, if that's how it turns out. So it's a majority white state. That means most of our voters are white. White people vote for a black candidate. Creating districts that are artificially black is a violation of the equal protection, and it's an abomination. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, in many respects, is a disgrace. There are valuable elements of it that ensure that the federal government has a role to make sure the elections are fair. I'm okay with that. But creating artificial districts, guaranteeing certain, I mean, what about Native American districts? Are we going to create one in Arizona that's all just, Navajo? Right. Are we going to create one that's all Apache in New Mexico? I mean, do we create an all Asian? Where's it going to be all Asian? There's no all majority Asian anywhere. So what do we do? Do we take a neighborhood here? Chinatown doesn't have enough to elect a member of Congress. So you take here, you take there. So what do we take the Chinatown in LA, the one in San Francisco, the one in Bakersfield, and then link them all together in a disconnected congressional district, call it the 99th district, and give it to it's stupid. Yeah. It's stupid. Yeah. It's and the Supreme Court is about to overturn that part of the Voting Rights Act. Thank goodness. After 60 years of damage to this country. The reason we have so many Democrats in Congress who are black is because they have gerrymandered districts to ensure that black people don't have to have any talent. All they have to do is run as a black man or woman. And that's a disgrace.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading some headlines here, and one just caught my eye. I don't. Luigi Mangione, who killed the CEO a couple of months ago or a year ago, whatever, said he was beaten by ladyboys in Thailand just a few months before he became an assassin. I'm like, man, hanging out with the wrong crowd there, buddy. Yeah, beaten up by ladyboys. So also, why would you admit that? I don't get that.
He was psychologically damaged. That's his.
I don't know if I would admit that.
Court, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't my fault. I was psychological damage. It's Thailand's fault.
Yeah, the ladyboys, they beat me up. I don't know what he was trying to do.
Aggressive ladyboys. I'm telling you what.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually guys, by the way. They I don't know. I don't understand the whole fascination, but an odd duck for sure. But I thought that was funny. The headline: Ladyboys, beat Mangione. All right. Anyway.
So Todd kind of titled this "Foolishness and Stupidity" tonight, apparently, or that's what I took out of it. And I'm sitting there looking at an article about Randy Weingart, the English proficiency
head of the
executive order that Trump signed, which happens to be a federal regulation since 1937 that you have to be able to read, write, and speak the English language in order to hold a CDL license or be a commercial truck driver. And so she up and decided that this is illegal and wrong, and she is going to sue the Trump administration. That's not even in her lane, dude. She's supposed to be representing teachers, and she's over here trying to sue the Trump administration for truck drivers. This woman squandered more money from her organization. And my thoughts are, isn't this what they like to refer to as misappropriation of funds? She's not using it for its intended purpose as a labor trade organization.
Well, I think that a federal judge should issue a warrant for the immediate arrest of Randy Weingarten for being an oxygen thief.
Yeah.
For somebody lacking brain cells, she sure does use her more than her fair share, I guess.
Yeah, well, she runs her mouth. That's where all the oxygen goes. But, she's an oxygen thief. She's an absolute disgrace. And it just shows you the abysmal nature of teachers' unions that they elect an idiot like that in charge of it. As you said, the law is from 1936. Who was president in 1936? I think it was King Roosevelt, wasn't it, Todd?
That's right. Yeah, King Roosevelt. Absolutely.
And his packed Supreme Court and his demon rat Senate and House. So demon rats passed this law, and now she's pretending that Trump is violating law. She's a moron. They're all idiots. They don't even know the Constitution. This idiot on a council up there in Oregon telling people to disobey lawful orders. They have an obligation not to obey an order if it's not lawful. Well, being told to go out and stop riots when you're federalized as National Guard, even if the state calls you up, is your responsibility. It's how it's done. They have more anger over this than the shootings at Kent State back in the 70s. They get all in a tizzy over this. How do these people get attention? They're so clueless. The media are so shameful to even give attention. It's like listening to, we all want to date her, of course, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. My brain drops 50 IQ points every time she opens her mouth, and I listen to her. It's these people. I tell you what, if I keep listening to them, I'm going to be put in a home for the functionally.
I realize the reason why none of us conservatives are dating AOC is simply because our wives won't permit it.
Our wives won't permit it. That's funny. I like that. Yeah. No, I'm not dating AOC because she would never shut up. I can just picture it now. Okay, listen, babe. Enough. Okay.
You call her babe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else are you going to call her? I mean, other than something profane. Anyway. So listen, sweetheart. Just go pay the credit card bill, okay?
Yeah. But no,
what you do is, let me show you. You log into the computer here. Oh, you spent $20,000 this month, but your income was $6,000. See, you're not supposed to do that. Now you got to pay 29% interest, which means you'll never pay this off, you genius. I want a divorce. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You marrying her, man. I just thought about we weren't dating her for that reason. You already got her in mind for marriage. Listen to that.
Man.
Oh, please. Well, all Republicans secretly want to date her, don't you? I mean, that's the story.
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear.
I'm more of a Jasmine Crockett fan, because I like her really
Jazzy,
toxic
Jazzy.
and volatile.
Oh, she's toxic and she's quite volatile. Jazzy, man. Oh, yeah. Jazzy Crockett, man. Yo, that's racist. Oh, everything's racist. Trump's a racist. How is he a racist? Well, he's just a racist. Can you explain that? Why do I have to explain it? You should see he's a racist.
But I hear she may be losing her seat this year or this next election cycle. So
I'm sure she won't lose her weave. Ooh, that was below the belt. That was below the belt. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So what? Here's one thing we haven't talked about in a couple of shows: the war in Ukraine. When does this thing get wrapped up? Where are we at with that?
There's a war in Ukraine.
Well,
I thought it was a video game.
Putin and Trump decided not to have this up and coming meeting.
Right. That's why I brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is an ongoing thing. We were talking last week in your absence there, Todd, about Trump is entertaining the thoughts of sending some tomahawks over there for to use. But I don't think that's what he's doing. I think that was more of a rumor because I saw another article stating something about, there's nothing wrong with him having long range weapons, but he didn't mention tomahawks in that.
Yeah. I think that's off the board for sure.
Oh wait, I gotta address this one. Hold the man. You're way off the out of the ballpark on that one. Janet Reno, no. My God, I could never date anything that ugly.
Well, you'd be dating a corpse while you're at it.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Janet Reno, Will Ferrell played her in SNL. Hilarious, by the way.
The comment was Holden said I took John for having a thing for Janet Reno. Oh my God.
Oh, come on. What a good joke. What a good joke.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow.
What a joke. So between now and next week, what's on your guys' agenda moving forward over the next week?
Well, I'm hoping that beyond hope, I don't think it's going to happen until at least the 30th, 31st, but I'm kind of hoping that the Senate Democrats back down and we pass this funding, but it only goes to November something now. So now they're going to have to come up with a bill that goes even longer so they can get a budget. But I'm hoping they get that done because, I mean, Todd, we may not get paid come end of the month.
Very possible. Very possible.
I was actually surprised to see money in my account on the 1st of October. And actually, I was out, as I told John last week, I was out in Idaho and, of course, 2 hours behind. So I was online at 10 o'clock. And after midnight, I went into my bank account and there was no money there. I'm like, oh, well, didn't get paid. Thank God I paid the mortgage that last week. But so I was a bit surprised when the money showed up later that day. And then, but I don't know we're going to see any pay. Now, I mean,
traditionally, veterans always got their pay and Social Security always went out and things like that. But you're actually feeling concerned that you may actually not be getting paid.
Well, I'm not concerned. I've paid my mortgage already. I mean,
but generally,
but I've got plenty of cat food in the basement to tide me over till my pay starts again.
Are you a frisky sort of guy?
I'm a fancy feast. I like the fancy feast.
I should have known.
He's upper crust.
You get the crystal glass. You get to put your
fancy feast. But the thing is, you got to have electricity to heat it up because that stuff congeals. It's kind of nasty when it's congealed. But anyway, so it's kind of like a Red Bull. Red Bull's got to be cold. Your fancy feast has got to be hot.
He has them at the same time. I see.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go.
You know,
The little self-grooming here.
You could be a furry. He looks like he's in good practice over
Oh,
here.
let's not get started on those people, furries. Jeez.
Well, we got just a short period of time here left, but we got like, well, that's it.
Seconds.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week here at the Common Sense Conservatives. We're right here, 7 to 9 Eastern every week. Take care. Until then, God bless you.